Hello everyone, back with part 18 of my recent watches. So it's been 8 days since the last episode, and I've watched 8 films in that time. Few Blu-rays, few DVDs, one 4K, quite an eclectic mix of different genres and decades. I would say one a day, but some days when I've got home from work tired and things, I haven't watched any films. And then I think on a day off last week, I watched two, maybe three. So I guess it balances out. Before I start showing you those, I will just say I'm going to do the draw for the competition. You won't have to answer a question. Giveaway draw on this coming Friday. So I'm recording this on Monday. I don't know what day it is. So I'll do the draw on Friday to give people a little bit more time to enter. Also, that's my next day off, so I'll have some time then. I'll be off holiday. I say on holiday from work. I'm not going away. Got time off work for like 9 days or so I actually have some time to catch up on other people's videos and do some of my own stuff. So I think this is the first video in like 6 or 7 days, just where I've been busy and things at work and outside of work. Before I show you these, I will just open this package. So going off on a tangent again, as I usually do. Enter the competition. It'll be closing on Friday. So if you haven't and you're watching this, then feel free. I got this package. I won't show this side because my address. It's from Roy Barrett from Blue Roy Movies. So this is the second package he sent me in probably a couple of weeks. So thank you, Roy. He did first time he asked if I wanted a certain film, and then chucked a couple extra in. Whereas this time, he sort of showed me them, and I did choose what the films were. I'm not going to lie, I've already forgot. One of them I can remember. So bit of a surprise. Sure, as soon as I look at them, it will jog my memory. So No Country for Old Men. I have seen this years ago, but I had it on DVD. So when Roy showed the picture, I said, a photo, should I say? I said, I wouldn't mind upgrading that one to Blu-ray. So I've got a DVD of that. So I guess if the winner wants it of the prize draw, then they can have a DVD of No Country for Old Men thrown in. If I do it like this, so you'll see as fast as I do what it is. Wyatt Earp. I have seen this one years ago on TV. I guess this is this version. Whether they've done different versions or whether they've ever had a TV version. But I remember watching this as a kid. I think there's one called like the Billy the Kid, the Sundance Kid, Jesse James, something like that. I'm sure the Western fans will know. But Kevin Costner, Dennis Quaid, Gene Hackman, a Lawrence Kasdan film. So it looks interesting. Like I've been saying for a while, trying to get more Westerns and things. So again, thank you for that one, Roy. Remember now when I did say to Roy I would like to have this one. Let's see. My memory's quite bad. It was only probably a week or so ago Roy said these, and I already forgot what they were other than No Country for Old Men. A Man on Fire with Denzel Washington, directed by Tony Scott. One of my favourite Tony Scott films. Again, I've had this one on DVD, so this is another upgrade to Blu-ray. I think it's one of Denzel Washington's best films, other than Training Day. I quite like The Bone Collector, but just a really good sort of revenge film. Weirdly enough, I remember seeing, I can't remember what it was on, so I don't really watch like interviews with footballers about football, but it was some program, maybe it was like a game show sort of thing was on, like League of Their Own or something. I remember Wayne Rooney was on there, and they asked him what his favourite film ever was, and he said Man on Fire. So I guess Wayne Rooney's got some taste. I thought he preferred the Golden Oldies, but maybe that's just in his extracurricular life. Seen this one a couple of times, not for years actually, so do a rewatch of this. But just remember it being a really good revenge film, a bit like Leon with Jean Reno, directed by Luc Besson. Sorry. I think Luc Besson is a footballer. Again, I'm going back on a football tangent. It'd be good to rewatch this one. So thank you for those three, Roy. And Roy sent me, I think, 6 films now in the last few weeks, and all I've given him so far was back at the meetup when I gave him a copy of Robo Tricks, like a crazy Hong Kong cat-free martial arts Power Rangers, Starship Troopers kind of film with nudity. Yeah, so I'll try and send Roy a few more things once I got some stuff to give away. I mean, you never know, Roy might win the giveaway. I think when I do the giveaway, I'll show the name of every single person that's entered on a bit of paper before I put them into the hat, bowl, whatever you call it, to draw them out, so everybody knows I've put all their names in and it's fair, and not, said everyone's in and then just put like 3 people in who I want to win or something. But yeah, I'll send you a message, Roy, next time I got some stuff that I've upgraded or that I'm moving on. But yeah, thank you again for that, Roy. I'm sure everybody knows Roy's channel. I did say last time he gave me stuff. Great YouTuber, great guy. Real sort of sarcastic, witty sense of humour. Always makes me laugh in his videos and in the WhatsApp group. Great film knowledge. Insane. I don't think he calls it a collection. I think he calls it a library, which he's doing like a shelf by shelf overview of. I think he's on like shelf 12 and he's not even on M yet. So I thought, like I said before, I thought I had quite a lot of films, but Roy must have like 3,000 or something. So yeah, again, thank you, Roy. Go and check out Roy's channel. I'll put the link in the description. Right, I've waffled on for over 6 minutes, so I'll get on with these recent watches I'll show you. I'll try not to talk about them too long, not just to make the video shorter, but my phone's running out of space, so I'm looking at it now. It's saying I've only got up to 40 minutes and 54 seconds to record before it automatically cuts off. So maybe that's a good thing. I should start limiting myself to like 20 minutes. But first one I watched, must be 8 days ago, is Death of a Unicorn. Payback is a beast. It's the tagline, with Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, Will Poulter, Tia Leone, and Richard E. Grant. Directed by Alex Sharfman. It's a 15 strong bloody violence, horror, gore, language, 107 minutes. Guess it's 2025. Can't see a year on it like usual. It's an A24 release. Yeah, remember when this was out at the cinema? I seen the adverts, looked interesting. Seen some reviews where most people, gave it a favourable review. Yeah, it's really colourful, looks good. Quite original, really. A film about a unicorn, but without sort of spoiling it, it's quite on the nose. I thought it would be. It kind of says on the back, so it's not a spoiler, that a father, Paul Rudd, and daughter Jenna Ortega accidentally hit and kill a unicorn while en route to a weekend retreat, whereas billionaire boss Richard E. Grant seeks to exploit the creature's miraculous curative properties. So yeah, I thought it would just be maybe the dead body of the unicorn, or they take its horn off and extract the medicine, but without sort of spoiling it. Later on, it does get a bit, shall I say, silly. Yeah, first half I was really enjoying. There's some comedy, and I found some of the comedy actually lands. The lady in it, I'm guessing it's Tia Leone. Not really sure. Yeah, you can see her there on the back. Hopefully, there's not too much glare. Kind of looked a bit like, what's the mum's name out of Beetlejuice and Home Alone? Catherine O'Hara. Yeah, she delivered some funny comedy lines. Paul Rudd, he's funny in most things he's in. Will Poulter, I think that's the guy that was in Midsummer. Yeah, it's quite funny. Some of the comedy sort of quite raunchy, I guess. A few of the things that lady says. But yeah, sort of halfway through, without sort of spoiling what happens, it got a bit sort of silly, and some of the CGI didn't look great. Richard E. Grant, really good, plays this sort of old ill man who wants to find like a cure to make him live forever because he's like terminal. Jenna Ortega, really good as always, good acting, and I think she plays like Paul Rudd. Yeah, I was looking, like, is she young enough to be Paul Rudd's daughter? But I think she's 22 in real life. Paul Rudd must be going on 50, I guess. So yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it looks really good. I imagine it looked good in 4K. I wouldn't upgrade it to 4K. Would watch it again when I was thinking, should I trade it in at CEX or pass it on to someone like Roy? But no, I think I will watch it again in the future. I think with some films like this, the first time you watch it, where, it's unraveling as you're watching it, you don't always like the way it goes. Whereas once you're prepared for what happens, then I might watch it a second time knowing it's a bit more of a fantasy horror, is all I'm going to say, and, well, fantasy comedy horror, and enjoy it a bit more. Whereas, yeah, on the first watch, I kind of like the way it was going in the first half. And yeah, for me, I think maybe they should have just stuck with like the dead unicorn, and then they try and use science to extract like the properties of magic, kind of whatever you call it, to use the cure. And then maybe once he's got it in his blood, then something happens and he starts changing. I think would have been more interesting, but without spoiling it, a real, I say real, an actual unicorn comes in the second half to get revenge and things, which, yeah, I thought was a bit silly. I didn't think it would go as sort of on the nose as that. The unicorn creature, yeah, like I said when I first showed it, it didn't really look like a unicorn, does it, to be fair? But yeah, it was interesting. One I'm glad I watched, but yeah, I won't be watching it again for a while. But I would give it a 6 out of 10. So not completely irredeemable, but quite by the numbers, to be fair. This one I've watched years ago. I remember watching it. I think we've hired it on VHS. It was on TV when I was a kid. I'm talking like 10 years old. Watched it with my dad and my mate, I think. Did enjoy it back then. Watched it again a few years ago and can't really remember anything about it. But yeah, on this rewatch, not the best made film, but I found it quite enjoyable as far as like sci-fi actions go. Is Christopher Lambert in Fortress? This one is on a DVD. I guess you can get it on a Blu-ray or 4K. Marcus, I know, is quite a fan of this. I'm sure he'll comment if he's watching, saying if he's got like a Blu-ray. I'm imagining 88 Films or someone's done one. Might have gone out of print. It is a Stuart Gordon film. I think it's one of the only Stuart Gordon films I know of that is not horror. You know, Reanimator, From Beyond, Dreams in a Witch House. Trying to think of some more by him. You know, most of this stuff is horror, really. Whereas, yeah, this is, I mean, it's an 18, so it's got some violence and things, but it is, yeah, like a sci-fi action, really, I would say, set in like a futuristic prison. It's an 18, it's from 1992. So tell me a runtime. 1 hour 32 minutes, so not too bad. Yeah, I mean, it's quite weird the way it's sort of set up and plays out. It's like an action kind of B movie. Jeffrey Combs really good in it. I don't know if you can see him there, but he's this kind of guy with glasses and long hair. I didn't even clock it was him for a little while. Yeah, some quite standout scenes. Yeah, it's like a futuristic prison, and they try and escape. Who's this lady in it? Lauren Lachlan, I guess. She was quite good. Kind of looks a bit like a young Sharon Stone. Kurtwood Smith. I think he played the main villain in RoboCop. Always plays a good villain. Yeah, he was probably the standout of this, to be fair. But Christopher Lambert's good in it, but plays a bit of a, I wouldn't say generic action guy, but you know, he's not on the level, especially sort of physicality wise, of Stallone and Arnie and even Jean-Claude Van Damme or Wesley Snipes. But yeah, he does a good job. Yeah, not gonna lie, I watched it again. This is probably the third time, and I still can't remember that much about it. I just film I kind of find quite hard to take in. But yeah, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. Enjoyable enough, and yeah, one I'll keep in the collection and watch again in a few years, and maybe I'll remember it better then. This is a double box set, again on DVD, but I did actually watch the second film. So it's the double feature of Pet Sematary and Pet Sematary 2. Obviously, if you could see, I've got Pet Sematary up there on 4K. One of my favourite, say older horror films in general. Don't be quite in the top 10, but I think I spoke before as a kid, it was one of the only horrors that not only scared me, but Zelda, the sort of sister from In the Back Room, yeah, that not only sort of disturbing when I was a kid, but yeah, I think it's the only thing I've ever seen in a film that's given me nightmares and things. And a lot of my friends that watched it, I know a lot of people were sort of traumatized as a kid when they seen that. But yeah, this is Pet Sematary 2, also directed by Mary Lambert, that does part 1, which is kind of not just a sequel, but it's got a bit of, you know, the lore and some references to the original Pet Sematary and things. I think it sort of says something about, oh yeah, Louis Creed lived here, he had a cat that was in the Pet Sematary. Few references. Yeah, I thought it was going to be really bad. I mean, it's not a great film. It's quite sort of low budget, sort of B-movie horror. But yeah, I watched it a few times as a kid and liked it, and then watched it probably 10 years ago the last time and thought it was okay. But yeah, I thought it was a bit sort of schlocky and not well made. But on a rewatch, I actually not only enjoyed this more than I thought, but yeah, a few of the effects and things, like with the wolf's head, is all I'm going to say, is a bit hokey. But it is from if I can find a year, 1992. So yeah, quite dated. Same year. Was that the same year as Fortress? But yeah, it's got Edward Furlong. Anthony Edwards, Clancy Brown, probably the standout of this. Don't know if you can see him there with his drill. Not really a spoiler to say, once he turns evil, he's quite menacing. He's been in a few things. What's the film he plays like an army general? But I think he's most well known for being the voice of Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob, who makes the Krabby Patties. I'm sure Sammy G will get that reference. He's a fan of SpongeBob, as you can probably tell by his t-shirt. And Jared Rushton, not sure which is that younger kid there. It starts really good, where his mum's like filming a gothic horror and he's on set watching, then an accident happens and she gets electrocuted in front of him. Not only quite shocking, but yeah, when it first starts, it's like a proper sort of old school, like Hammer horror kind of throwback that she's filming. And then yeah, it plays on the Pet Sematary quite well, where obviously they bury like a few people and animals and they come back evil. One really good bit with like a motorbike and someone's scarf is all I'm going to say. Don't want to spoil it. 18 contains strong bloody violence and horror. Better than I sort of remembered it being, but not brilliant, not as good as the first one, by no means a horror classic, but enjoyable, and yeah, kind of exceeded my expectations. So yeah, I guess I give that one, I don't know if I give it a 7. Yeah, I guess I give it a 7. Yeah, it's better made than I thought. Edward Furlong quite good in this. I don't know if this was slightly before Terminator 2. We'll have to check the year of that, but let me put it back in this little bar. Yeah, obviously I could get rid of this part 1 on DVD of Pet Sematary, as I've obviously got the 4K up there. Because it comes in a little box set, I just keep it so I've got them both in the little set. Moving on from that one, which is like a bit of a hokey B movie, but like I say, enjoyable. Sorry. Onto an all-time classic. One I've watched quite a few times over the years, but this was my first rewatch in, probably 10 years or so. Still stands up really well. I've got the DVD box set of this, The Omen. So I did watch the original Omen. This is a pentology, which has The Omen 30th Anniversary Edition, Damien, Omen 2, Omen 3, The Final Conflict, Omen 4, The Awakening, and The Omen 2006 Remake. I've got the first Omen on Blu-ray, which I did quite enjoy. Quite a good modern horror film, but I've only got this on DVD. I think when I was speaking to Stuart and Jodie and people in the WhatsApp group, sorry, just checking on my cat, he's going near his litter tray, even though I moved it out his room, he still likes to spoil things. When we was talking, I know the box set doesn't have like a 4K release, and Stuart did say it was a crime, but I'm not sure if the original film has got a Blu-ray or whether they're still stuck on DVD. Picture and that's good on the DVD. Get this out. Tell me any more information. So the only thing's a bit annoying with these sets is it don't ever have anything written on the back. I think the original's from 1976. Just trying to remember who does the music to it. Is it Elmer Bernstein? Music is really good, not just iconic and memorable, but really not just sets the tone, but the music is really creepy, really sort of devilish. Gregory Peck, brilliant in it. David Warner, brilliant. Don't know the name of the kid that plays Damien. I'm guessing it's his first role. He's quite young in it, but he's quite creepy. The nanny that sort of comes to help him, so to speak. She's really good. Not sure of the actress's name. Loads of quotables in this. Near the end, when he says "Daddy, no," I think it is all I'm going to say. The bit when I won't really say. I'm sure everybody's seen this, but I don't want to spoil it in case you haven't. But let's just say I guess she was the babysitter before she got replaced. She does something and then says it's all for you, Damien. Well made, great cinematography, brilliant dialogue, great acting. Yeah, flawless classic horror for a reason. If it's from 1976, it still stands up nowadays in every way. Imagine if there was a 4K or something, it'd look even better. But yeah, I enjoyed it on this DVD. I wasn't watching it thinking, this picture's not great, it needs a upgrade. Like I say, good soundtrack, some genuinely creepy moments, really good cinematography, special effects. So without spoiling it, all I'll say is there's a bit where a vehicle starts rolling and a plate of glass cuts somebody's head off. I won't say who in that in case you haven't seen it. But yeah, that still stands up. I remember watching the special effects probably 10 years ago when I last watched it, showing how it was done. I don't really believe in paranormal kind of stuff, but they do say there was like a curse or something on this film, where a lot of people were injured on set and things, but then they say the same about The Exorcist and The Poltergeist, most of these films. So whether, they just say it to sort of sell the film a bit more, whether you could argue if you believe in like karma and making an evil film brings bad karma to the set, I don't really know. But yeah, I know Stuart, again from Stuart George's Home Movies, was saying Damien 2 and 3, I think he said, got Sam Neill. Meant to be really good, so we'll get on to watching those ones. They'll be on a forthcoming recent watches. Yeah, I think this quote on the start is from Book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 8, where it says, "Here is wisdom, let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of the man, and his number is 666, is a quote from Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast at the start of the song. Yeah, I'll give this a 9. Tempted with a 10, but like I say, 10s are sort of some of my favourite films ever, which would be in my top 10 horror films. Whether it be in top 10, I mean, it's pushing it. It'd probably be in my top 15. But yeah, 10s not only I reserve for films that I think are flawless and I really enjoy, and I've usually watched them, say, more than like 10 times, but I've also watched them as a kid or something to have a bit of nostalgia, like RoboCop and Jaws and certain, I'd say, kind of formative films to my taste now. Whereas, yeah, I didn't probably first see this till I was like an adult, maybe. So yeah, I guess I'll give it a 9.5, is a bit more fair. So better than some of the 9s I showed on here, but yeah, don't know if I'd quite give it a 10. It is a classic. No, let's just give it a 10. It's easier, isn't it? I try and watch one film which is a 10 each week, just to watch one that, sometimes it's nice to have those comfort films where you put on a film and you don't know if you're gonna like it, and if it's a bit of a gamble to like an hour and a half, 2 hours of your time. Whereas every now and then I think I just want to watch something I know I enjoy. It's kind of comforting. I know what's going to happen. I know where the story's going. So say The Thing, I can just watch that and know not only am I going to enjoy it, but it just puts me in a certain kind of zone and like a vibe. Yeah, I mean, it's a flawless film. It's a classic. It's well made. So yeah, give it a 10, The Omen. From one possession film to another, I mean, it's not a straight up possession film. Yeah, I think when I watched this, I did the one I'm going to show next. Second viewing of this, a rewatch, I did say to Marcus from Xbox2708 and Ash from Popcorn Horror in our WhatsApp group that I think this is probably the best possession film since The Exorcist, and probably the most powerful and kind of shocking. Because when The Exorcist came out in the 70s, 74, I'm guessing, it obviously shocked audiences with not just, I guess at the time, the world was a bit more religious and things, so it was more offensive to people, but also people hadn't seen things like that was going on in film. It was quite kind of extreme for the time. I think this is the kind of modern day version. Then when I said that, I did think after, what about The Omen? But yeah, I don't think The Omen's a straight up possession film. It's more like the birth of an Antichrist. I don't think he's really possessed as such, is he? He's obviously born evil. Whereas, yeah, this one to me, not just really well made, but quite a shocking, have my jaw on the floor a few moments, is When Evil Lurks. So this is the 4K special edition from Second Sight Films. Did watch this on Shudder about a year ago. I think I literally took out the free Shudder subscription for like a week or a month. You get it, just to watch this and a few others that not just hadn't had a physical release. I remember I kept going in HMV and saying to Matt, shout out to Matt if you're watching, really sound guy that works in HMV. Great film knowledge. Kept asking him when's this forthcoming, and he was looking on the computer and couldn't find it. And yeah, it just took a long time to come out. It's an Argentinian film, really well made, really good acting, tense atmosphere, some really shocking moments, bits when you just don't know where it's going to go. I think it's 100 minutes. 100 minutes, but flies by. Kind of shocked it's only a 15. I mean, it says strong horror, bloody violence, gore, and language. I don't really know what it has to do to get to an 18. If there's really any sexual scenes, maybe that pumps it up to an 18. I think they say the F word. Yeah, there's some gore. I mean, the shocking moments are more like the context of, to be fair, I guess The Exorcist is probably a 15. Obviously, it is an 18. Yeah, I'd say this has got the same level of like gore and harshly spoken dialogue and that as The Exorcist has. But yeah, not only one of my favourite world cinema films, I think I've seen too many films from Argentina, so I'd have to say this is my favourite Argentinian film, directed by see their name. Never heard. Demian Rugna, I guess you pronounce it. He has done a film before this called Terrified. Not Terrifier, but Terrified, which was quite good. This is a big step up. Yeah, Terrified was enjoyable. Watch that on Shudder. You can buy it. I keep seeing looking for the Blu-ray at HMV, but it's always £18. I don't want to pay that, so it comes down to 10 or so. I might get it for the collection. But yeah, this is a big step up. Just so not just involving, like riveting. The whole time I'm watching this, even when they're having dialogue, when it first opens and there's just two brothers in a cabin, then they hear gunshots out in the woods. Few bits of it is kind of unexplained. Can't really go into it without spoiling it, but you sort of know something happens, but you don't really know how. You see the aftermath. It's about 3 shocking moments in this. I mean, really shocking. Good acting all round. Yeah, this little girl not got too much screen time. Without spoiling it, there's a bit when her mum's hugging her, and then she kind of looks at the mum like dead-eyed and just says something which is going to happen, which not only is shocking, but it's just so well delivered from this girl. I'll read the little blurb for you. A small Argentine town is plagued by a demon that is possessing the locals and causing devastation wherever it goes. 2 brothers will risk everything trying to stop this evil force. 2025, or at least that's the year it was released on physical. I think it was out on streaming for a while. The one thing I do appreciate about this, even though it's like a possession film, it never stipulates any religion. It's not Christian or Catholic or Muslim, Judaism, Sikhism, is it called? Any sort of particular religion, whereas obviously The Exorcist is kind of like Catholic, Christian, but it also never says the word demon or devil or anything like that. It's just a person's infested, I guess you'd say, rather than possessed, with like a sickness kind of thing. Without spoiling it, if you shoot the person that's possessed, under the influence of the evil, I'll just say, then it transfers to someone else's body and gets even more evil. So you've got to try and dispose of it in a certain way. Can't really go into the plot too much without spoiling it, but I would recommend, if you're into not just horror, possession kind of films. I mean, so many of them are just throwaway, and even ones I kind of enjoyed, like The First Omen, what's it called, Immaculate. They don't really do anything that original. None of them have done anything that original since the original Exorcist, but this genuinely is an original take on that. If you're into world cinema and you can stomach this, because it's not so much gory and things. It's got a few bits of gore. Look, it's only a 15, but there is some shocking moments. And like I've said before, I'm quite jaded to extreme horror and things like that. And a few bits. First time I watched it, obviously they're more shocking because I don't know they're coming. But the second time I watched it, it was one bit. Not going to say what happens, but involving the little girl, where I knew it was coming, and I was literally getting like anxiety over the moment about to happen. And not many films get me to that point where, I wouldn't say my palms are sweating, but my heart was beating a bit faster, and I was just, oh no, I'm not ready for this moment. I'd give that an 8 out of 10. Really impressive. One of my favourite horror films of the last 10, 20 years, I would say. Next one, something a bit different, a bit older. 20 Million Miles to Earth. So this one is on Indicator. It's got the tagline, I don't know if it's an alternative title or just the tagline of Terror from Outer Space. Starring William Hopper, Joan Taylor, 1957. So the oldest one I watched this week, or recently, should I say. From USA, 82 minutes. It flies along quite nicely. English language, black and white. You can also watch the colorized version. I just settled for the black and white, just because that's the way it's kind of meant to be. But then I thought it gives me something to look forward to go back and watch it in colour. There's quite a few scenes I was watching where I was like, oh, if this was in colour, this would look brilliant. I thought I'd start with the black and white, then go and watch the colour. Obviously, I always try and watch films the way the director intends. So if it was meant to be in black and white, they've now colorized it. I'll get round to the colorized version, but I like to watch the standard version, or the same when there's director's cuts, things like that. I'll always go for the way the director intended it. So say, for instance, the assembly cut of Alien 3 by David Fincher is the way he intended it, is so much better than the cut apart version that the studio and producers meddled in, like they quite often do in films. Directed by Nathan Juran. Duran, starring William Hopper, Joan Taylor, screenplay by Bob Williams and Christopher Knopf, story by Charlotte Knight, technical effects created by Ray Harryhausen, great as you'd expect from Ray Harryhausen, produced by Charles H. Schneer, PG, mild violence. Yeah, first time viewing this, I've obviously seen a lot of the Ray Harryhausen films when I was a kid, the three Sinbad films, Clash of the Titans, what's it called? Jason and the Argonauts were like 5. I always loved and watched a lot. Maybe I seen this as a kid and couldn't remember if I was really young, like 4 or 5. But yeah, couldn't remember. But yeah, enjoyed it. Really good story, good acting. Creature looks good, as you'd expect from Harryhausen. Yeah, I mean it's 57, but it's not that dated. Yeah, in terms of these kind of, I guess you'd say like classic era sci-fi films, kind of a family film, but it's sci-fi foremost. Yeah, it's one of the better ones I've seen. Gonna try and get a hold of a few more of these sci-fi. I think Indicator do quite a lot from this era. I think you can get one called like Them, and then there's one. Is that with giant ants? There's one I watched as a kid. All I can remember is it was some like Martians, and they were like, sounds weird, but they had like plant heads, looked a bit like cabbages, and might have been like pod people or something. But I remember when I watched it, when I was about 4 or 5. It like really creeped me out, and I've just never been able to like find the film again since. If anybody knows, yeah, it's like a black and white sci-fi where I think they find like a meteorite in the back garden, but then they basically start invading from like Mars. And yeah, I might be getting 2 films mixed up. I can vaguely remember something about they were like plant kind of Martian people. If anybody can remember, let me know. Yeah, I give that a 7.5. Terror from Outer Space on Indicator number 42 if you wanted to know. Right, down to the last 2. This one I've watched probably about 4 times, so I knew I was going to enjoy it, but I think this night I'd had a couple of drinks. I wanted to watch something where I don't have to concentrate too much. Is the original Creepshow. So I did really want to watch Creepshow 2. I probably prefer that to this one. I mean, this has got 5 stories and like a wraparound, whereas Creepshow 2's only got 3 stories. But I think the raft of Creepshow 2 is the pinnacle of any of these. Never seen Creepshow 3, heard it's really bad. Don't think it's even made by Romero and Stephen King or anything to do with this one and the second one. And then I think Chief Woodenhead is probably up there with the best segment from this, which I'd say is The Crate. But yeah, I wanted to watch Creepshow 2. I've got it on Arrow Blu-ray, but I thought, it's coming out on 4K in a few months. I'm just going to wait. You know, if I don't want to buy the 4K and then not want to rewatch it for a while where I'd seen it previously a few months ago. So yeah, in the end, I was like, I'll go back to Creepshow, the original Creepshow. Wrote by Stephen King, directed by George A. Romero. Good team. Starring Hal Holbrook, Adrienne Barbeau, Fritz Weaver, Leslie Nielsen, really good in this segment, Carrie Nye, E.G. Marshall, Vivica Linfors as Aunt Bedelia. Doesn't say all the people on the back, but it also stars Ted Danson. So Ted Danson and Leslie Nielsen, really good in Something to Tide You Over. Yeah, you've got Father's Day, quite a good segment. The Lonesome Death of Geordie Verrill, probably my least favourite bit, where Stephen King finds a meteorite and it gets his green stuff on him and starts growing, and his acting when he's like, what's it he keeps saying? Oh, you lunkhead, Geordie Verrill. Yeah, he plays like a hick kind of, but he's like real dumb. I think he plays it well because you believe he's like real dumb and annoying, but yeah, I didn't really like not just his acting, but like the style of it. Something to Tide You Over, one of the best bits, yeah, with Leslie Nielsen, Galen Ross, and Ted Danson. I won't really say what happens, a bit of a spoiler, but. And then The Crate, which is probably my favourite bit, with Adrienne Barbeau and Hal Holbrook, and like a monster in a crate is all I'm going to say. And then they're creeping up on you with E.G. Marshall, where he's scared of like bugs, and then his whole like, I don't know if it's his apartment or he's like in a science lab, but it all gets infested with cockroaches. Yeah, if I had to rank them, I'd rank The Crate top, then Something to Tide You Over, then Father's Day, then they're creeping up on you, and then The Lonesome Death of Geordie Verrill. Don't know if you can get this. Really like this cover art. It's like the old EC Comics, I think they call it. in a nice little slip. Yeah, I don't know if this has like a Blu-ray British release, whether it's only like Scream or Shout Factory. I'm sure Stuart George will know from Stuart George's Home Movies. Let me know if you're watching this. Runtime an hour 55. Yeah, it's kind of a comedy horror. It's a bit like hokey and silly, but it is played for like laughs and things. Some quite creepy moments. Special effects are quite good, not too dated. It's from 1982. Doesn't feel that old. Yeah, really good actors. Yeah, good all round. Yeah, I'd give that a 7.5. Yeah, not as good as Creepshow 2 in my opinion, but all the segments are watchable, and yeah, it's just got a really good sort of vibe to it. And I've never read EC Comics, but I think they do adapt the material really well to sort of comedy horror, basically. Yeah, one of the best anthologies, I think. Creepshow 2, then Creepshow 1, and then probably Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. Like 3 of my favourite comedy, not just comedy horrors, they're all kind of a bit comedy, but horror anthologies. And then last one, I watched this one last night, another one on DVD, first time watch, is Devoured. A bit misleading, really. I thought it was going to be some kind of a cannibal horror, but it's more of a thriller. Near the end, it turns a bit more horror-esque. A bit of like a twist and a payoff, as it says. Directed by, can I see? Greg Oliver. Not really heard of him. Say in here, Devoured calls to mind such bleak and visceral late 1970s New York urban dramas as Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver and Abel Ferrara's The Driller Killer. Definitely better than The Driller Killer. Worst soundtrack I've ever heard, and don't really like the film. Not as good as Taxi Driver. A bit overselling it. 18 contains strong gory violence. Yeah, it goes along like a thriller for like first, I think it's 85 minutes long. First like hour, and then some things are happening which you don't really understand, but it all comes together at the end with like a good payoff, like it says. Kind of mirrors the plot of Dancer in the Dark slightly, where this woman's come to America to try and save up money for a child to have an operation, but where in Dancer in the Dark, Bjork's saving up, Bjork's character saving up the money for a son to have he's got hereditary sight loss that she's got. She's trying to save up to pay for it to be reversed. In this, she's trying to basically pay, like, not a cure, but for him to go to hospital, I think in her home country of Mexico, and she's like saving up all the money, and then it sort of goes awry. I'm not going to say too much. The atmosphere of it felt a bit like The Machinist. Emphasis on the she. Easy for me to say. Yeah, the main lady's good in it. All the characters are good. Sorry, quite good acting. Few like sort of jump scares. Gets a bit kind of supernatural, it seems, near the end, but it kind of makes sense once you find out what's really happened. Yeah, it's got a few shocking moments, but to me the most shocking bit was she goes to this little stall and buys this little toy police car, piece of crappy little plastic, and she pays $10 for it. Gets ripped off. Yeah, I thought that was the most like outlandish part of the film. Yeah, it's quite grounded and things until it sort of twists at the end. An urban horror tale that shouldn't be missed. 18 from 2012, 87 minutes. I thought it was 85. Yeah, quite enjoyable. It's not a brilliant film, but it's one I watch again. And yeah, quite original for this kind of genre. And yeah, hard to really say what goes on without spoiling it. But yeah, I'd give that 7 out of 10, I guess, as well. So yeah, I've nearly run out. I'm on 38 minutes, and like I said, I've only got 40 minutes to record, so I have to start ending it now, whether I like it or not. Yeah, it's everything I've watched in the last 8 days. I'll do the competition results, whatever you call it. I keep calling it competition, raffle, this coming Friday, I think. So yeah, you've got a few days now to enter if you haven't. Just comment on the video, especially if you're a subscriber. Yeah, I guess I'll be back with another recent watches video in like a week or more. Don't think I'll be buying anything else for a little while. Still haven't got much money. Right, running out of time, so I'll end it there. So thank you everybody for watching. I'll try and tag anyone in the description that I've mentioned, if I can remember who you are, but especially Roy. Again, thank you, Roy, for the gifts. I'll try and get you back with something. Thank you, everybody. Bye.